The habitus and its container loads following behind exited Rift outside of the system. Callie and Josiah were on the bridge with the Gree, watching the large display screen. The system was composed of a dozen spread-out gas giants and 7 smaller rocky worlds scattered between. At the center of the system was a slow-burning red dwarf, giving off the familiar crimson glow. Callie pointed at the second planet. "There, oh wow! Look how green it is!" They jumped around one of the gas giants and approached the world. She walked up to the monitor, chewing on a meat stick. "Look at it." She splayed out her hand in front of the screen. "Even the blue in the oceans is tinted with a lime color. Look at that." She pointed at a small continent. "There in between the mountain ranges. It's a desert, but lines of green crisscrossing it. Are those rivers?" The Gree of Habitas focused its large eye and contorted the monitor to zoom in. "No, they do not follow the ridges. Whatever those green lines are, they are not following gravitational basin flow." Callie turned and looked at it. "Your people have any records of what that could be? Any mythos or anything?" "No. We've been fighting and fleeing the Gallic for generations. Our oldest have lived the majority of their lives as Gallic mind-bound slaves. We have lost our origins." Josiah nodded. "Well, that is why we are here. Let us get started and find some answers." The Gree of Habitas whispered throughout the ship. "All hands, prepare for orbital placement." Throughout the craft, crew members started getting ready to go to work. Scribbler workers in mechanical void rigs walked along the back of the towed cargo containers. 3 of them started unhooking the last 7 from the rest. A crew of Infinigan were inside the 7 containers, prepping them for assembly. Grendel hovered on the periphery, scanning the system for potential attackers. Callie sat in her quarters looking over display renderings from the ground. Weird. She reached over and touched the blue box, pressing gently on the side to wake it up. A golden glow peeked through creases. Her comm crackled with static, and lights flickered in her room. A voice spoke up in her ear. "I am awake. Thank you. How can I be of assistance?" She smiled, looking at the dim, glowing blue cube. "We are at the start of a mission. I need your help getting everyone organized and things cinched. The crew are assembling an orbital platform, and we could use someone to run the box spiders. You mind that task?" The Veritas copy ran a quick scan of the digital systems. "I need to know my access security level. What all do you wish for me to be able to manipulate?" "You are modeled after Sam and Dam, correct?" The Veritas did a quick self-exam. "Yes, they are who I am mapped after. Well, this place is our new home for a while. I want you to do what Sam would do, and I hope that involves keeping everyone here alive. Not just alive, ma'am, but thrive. Food rations are adequate for a substantial time, but I am seeing in the logs that the SFP have brought seeds and clam starts in hopes a potential farm could be built. I'm picking up numerous potential metal-rich moons orbiting a nearby gas giant. After the orbital is stabilized and atmosphere is nominal, I propose we expand it to get farms working as soon as possible." She smiled and nodded. "Yup. All right, but we have to get the beacon going first." "Of course, ma'am. The Infinigan researcher is in a shuttle heading to the Lagrange point now. He has several of his people on board assisting. It should be operational shortly, barring any damage incurred in transit." "Good. That is step 1. How are we doing on power?" "The Habitas reactor is operating within tolerances. I'm running diagnostics through the orbital reactor and solar panels now. They appear to have been stowed properly and will function. Orbital will have nominal power to operate." She pulled up the plans on her data slate. "Even with the cannon placements?" "Yes, cannons are running through non-firing tests now. They are operational. They will be able to sustain several minutes of volleys before station depletion." She shook her head. "Several minutes probably won't be enough. Get plans in place for upgrading the orbital for farms and weaponry. Anything you can think of, pitch it to me. Consider anything we can harvest and use in this system fair game. Also, we need mineral maps of the system. I think the TIA just did a quick flyby." "Updating the plans. Coordinating with Grendel. Plans in motion, ma'am." Callie looked at the scans of the world below them. Good. Mission is a go. Josiah piloted the outpost lander through the atmosphere. The fires of entry roared around the ground crew as they descended. Callie stood in the doorway of the cockpit, watching through the large windows as the air flamed around them. A few moments later, the craft had slowed enough that the fires ebbed and the blue sky shone in. Josiah turned on some music, filling the cabin. The slow, steady harmonies, coupled with everyone's weariness from working for the last several days, lulled many into a trance as they stared out over the new world. Stalker and Slayer were free of their suits, everyone aboard having been administered vaccines from grape juice. They looked out the windows, their back worms clamoring against the hull walls. Grape juice was in the back of the cabin, monitoring sensor life signs. She was deep scanning the ocean they were flying over and caught sight of something. She highlighted it. "Veritas, you picking this up?" The AI replied promptly. "Yes, large aquatic life form, circular in shape. It is of interest to you?" "It is larger than this craft and the outpost we're hauling. Anything that size is of interest. How are you doing on production?" "The relay satellite is operational. I'm communicating with my manufacturing drones on the moon continuously. Why, is there something you wish to add to the queue?" "Yes. I would like a fleet of monitoring satellites produced. Keep track of the oceans. Big things are swimming around down there, and they may be a threat. Your landing site is in the central portion of a 100-kilometer-wide island. You should be safe from any ocean-based life. I will do as requested. It is a good idea. We are here to learn, and monitoring satellites will aid in that endeavor." Grape juice bobbed in her seat. "Thank you, Veritas. Vitalia was hyper-violent. If this world is anything like that, we need every set of eyes we can get. Looking over Vitalia files now. Yes, understood. We'll get weapon placements operational as quickly as possible after landing. Running pre-landing diagnostics now." Across the cabin, watching everyone, Rockborn sat amongst his team. Enid sitting on his right, Cadence on his left. Weapons were stowed but easily accessible. Everyone had a feel of calm on them, but underneath they were strung tight and ready to be released. Rockborn, still as stone, was monitoring the vibrations of the hull, listening to the breath of everyone around him, smelling the adrenaline in the air, and planning out the landing site sweep. Josiah brought the craft over the island. He circled around it twice. Callie pointed down at massive vines coming out of the water, thick as trucks. "Look at that!" Veritas spoke over her comm. "You are a good observer." She laughed. "Seriously, what is that?" The thick vine had large, slender branching trees growing out from it in ringed nodes, and large roots extended from the bottom of those same node lines. The vines reached into the interior jungles and disappeared into the foliage. As they circled around, she pointed at more, each connecting the jungles into the depths, lines of unbroken green disappearing into the waves. "That's cool. What is it? Some sort of creature or rocks the plants use for nutrients?" Grape juice was in on the comm channel. "Unknown, but I would like samples. This world is seeming to have megaflora and fauna. Everyone should be advised and heavy weapons should be readied." Callie looked back through the cabin. "Everyone, if you weren't listening, we've already had sightings of some big shit moving. Be ready for megafauna and do not get eaten." A male charge of Kamies leaned next to his female friend. "Oh, it's exciting already." She leaned back into him. "I'm glad I took those beam ordnance courses. I can't wait to do real-life fire. It's going to be epic." He patted her leg. "This was a good choice. Everything is just crisper out here. You think we made the right call?" She laughed and looked up and down the cabin. "Definitely. Everything's new out here. I'm having a blast already. You felt that turbulence a bit ago? That had me so scared." He chuckled. "Yeah. I haven't been afraid in a long time. You felt me squeezing you. Made me feel... I don't know how to put it. I felt more. You know?" She nodded and smiled at him. "Exactly. Now was important. It was like being brought into focus or just shook awake." He pointed at her nose and touched it. "That is spot on. Focused and awake. Yes, I'm loving it. Rockborn, several seats down, turned his head toward the two charges. It is called being present. You two have been tasked to my team. Keep present, be ready, and don't get eaten. You see anything charging you or any of the team, put it down. Understand? The man stoically nodded and straightened in his seat. She straightened up beside him and dropped his hand. Rockborn focused on her. Alicia, do you understand? Her breath got quick. She looked at the scaled creature talking to her. Yes. Yes, sir. I understand. Good. Your and your compatriots' lives depend on your actions. Our mother said you were ready for this mission, and I am hoping she is correct. She nodded. We're ready, sir. It is an honor to be here. We will do you proud. Rockborn sat straight again. I don't care about pride or honor. Just keep your head about you and help your brothers and sisters here and now. Yes, sir, Alicia said. The craft hovered, lowering itself to the ground. Trees and foliage creaked and split as it made impact. Small fires ignited as the engines scorched the area. Then the engines powered down. A side door, small in comparison to the giant lander, opened. Rockborn leapt out first, bio-rifle synced into his arm, ready to fire. Cadence exited next, fully armored, and an armored grape juice followed behind her. The rest of Rockborn's team left out other doors, starting their sweeps. Enid was last to exit and jogged briskly to catch up to their unique leader. Rockborn walked slow, his body taking in his surroundings. The forest was quiet. Only the canopy ruffling high above in the wind made any noise. He could easily hear his other teammates on the opposite side of the lander crunching through the woods. Grape Juice was running a continuous air feed through a device held in her 3 hands. She watched the DNA streams, looking for pathogens. Fufang, are you tied into the feed? The Infinigan replied over her comms. Yes, I am watching. Good. Notice the protein bends on these biologicals? So far, nothing is lining up as a threat to any of our landing species. You see it? Yes, I am seeing it. I told you I am watching. Yes. Well, keep watching until you understand. You are trained on data entry. I want you to start renderings and logs. Fufang groaned and clicked his teeth. All right. Callie was on the channel. Get motivated, Fufang. There are other jobs I could have you do if you really don't want to work with her. Fufang's voice cheered up. You have other jobs? I'd be happy to help. Yes, Callie said. We need someone to check the water temperatures. You mind going out for a swim? There are things in the water. You know this. He shifted in his seat inside. Wait, you are saying that to scare me. He clicked his teeth again. All right, I'll continue logging. Happily. Callie smiled to herself and patted Josiah. She walked through the cabin and descended through the port down into the stored outpost in the hold. Teams were already readying sections to extend. She walked through the workers. So far, no horrible bio-threats. Still, keep containment protocols in place. No breaches. We don't know this world, we don't know its life. Keep vigilant. If anyone starts acting funny, we have a medical team ready. She looked over at the solitary air and 3 spotted preservers. She had to thank Dam again for sending them. Everyone keep comms open and let's get sciencing! The preserver was back at home, comfortable in his lab, busy growing new specimens for his enclosures. He leaned over and touched a holoslate with one of his 3 hands. He continued working on a genome with the other 2. He pulled up the file for the projected zoo expansion. He scrolled through the unassigned enclosures and moved a genome file into one, designating it Vitalian specimens. He paused and turned toward the lab door. You filth eaters, come here. I am in need of assistance. 3 shorter preservers, each black with stripes of orange and red, scurried to the door. The bulker of the 3 stood straighter. What is it you want? The patriarch focused 2 eyes on them. I just remembered. The Craddock senator, Grack or something, wants me to help them develop a new spawning method or something. It's a pain to think about, and I'm busy. I want the money, though, so you three are going to do it." The Bulker Tiger Striped Preserver stood even taller. "No, I will do it, but I will take half the commission." The others all looked at him. The original Twain Preserver chittered for a moment to himself. "What do you need money for?" "I want my own space, my own library, and I want away from you." The Preserver looked back at his projects and started working again. "Agreed. I want you away from me as well. You other two tend to the enclosures." They scurried off to clean, leaving the Preserver alone with the last tiger-striped youngling standing in the door. The Preserver looked at him with one eye. "You want something?" "You are a legend," the younger one said. "I know. You did not need to keep bothering me to tell me that. You are the only elder to tolerate its young cohabitating with it. Sometimes entire worlds are not enough space for our kind, and yet you manage. Did you alter yourself?" The Preserver activated a protein sequence causing the worm-like creature on his table to start spasming. "No. Did you alter yourself?" "No. I have no funds to do such." "You have access to my lab. Did you alter yourself to be able to tolerate working with me?" "No, I do not understand. Why are we so different than our peers?" The Preserver paused and looked at the young one with all three eyes. "We aren't different. I don't like you, and you don't like me. That is the same as all of our kind. We are in direct competition and need space from one another. I was not allowed to kill you. I was told to find you work, to feed you, to teach you. I do this as it is a requirement to stay in this very profitable facility. You see now?" The young one bobbed up and down. "It is this place that is different." The Preserver raised a hand and looked back down at the worm. "There's thousands of stations around the rim. The place has nothing to do with it. It's the human, then." "Correct. And I suggest you get you one." The black and orange Preserver straddled the bench and looked across the table at Grak. "Hello? You are the Craddock who requested the help of the Preserver?" Grak nodded his bulbous head, jowls jiggling. "Yes. Did he send you to assist us?" "Of course. That is why I am here." The young Preserver started typing on its chest device. "Go on. Tell me what it is you are needing done." "I talked to the air first, of course. They said they wouldn't help with what we are wanting to do as it isn't natural. So I am asking you. Asking me for what? Our birth rates have fallen. Our drinking has helped us control our need to spawn and fight, but it has also caused us to not reproduce. We wish for young. They are our purpose, but we have begun to see we do not want to give up our lives for them. This place has shown us that there are different ways we may be able to do things, and we wish to contemplate options. Do you think you could come up with ideas on solving our issue?" The striped Preserver shifted its 3 legs around the bench. "Of course, I have numerous ideas already. However, this could be quite a costly endeavor. You are talking research, production, experimentation, and eventually implementation. All of this will require substantial funds. Are your people ready to take on this cost?" Grak shook its head again. "Of course, we have done quite well, and this is what many of my fellows wish to put their wealth towards. Tell me what you need, and we will do what we can to get you started." The young Preserver thought for a moment, typing slowly on its chest. "I have been designated the lead for this project. I'm sending you over my funding account. I will need 500,000 clams to get started. I will use it to construct a designated facility near the outer hull of Twain. I will need samples from any and all of your species who can stop by and donate. I also need a list of your species' general rules and taboos. I do not wish to offend any of you. Also, I am in need of a human helper. Do you know any humans?" Grak shifted its weight on the chair, causing it to creak. "The clams are easily doable. You will have that by the end of cycle. We have a scribbler law group that could get you the rules or whatever you are needing. They know us and have helped us deal with other interspecial matters. What was the other thing? You can get your people to donate?" "Oh yes, of course. I will have everyone stop by once you get set up. Hell, I'll get through pilots to donate when they stop for drinks." It'll be a thing. Good, good. What about a human? Do you know any that I could talk with? Grak thought for a moment. Well, yeah. I have a drinking buddy. He's human. Pilots the Posar, he's a good guy. I'll give you his info tag. Grak touched its wrist pad and swiped over a file to the young preserver. There you go. He looked at the received file. An Admiral Frith. Curious. It looks like he is missing limbs. Good. This is beneficial to me. The young striped preserver looked back up at Grak with all three eyes. Good. Get the scribblers to notarize the deal, and I will get started promptly. Once the money is in the account, I will broker a deal with the orbit and get the new labs constructed. He stood up on his three spindly legs and extended a hand out to the Kratok. The Kratok took it in human fashion and shook. Thank you. I hope to see your ideas soon. You will have them. Thank you. Sam sat with Olivia in a private booth looking out over the casino floor. Across from them, a massive holoscreen had been installed on the wall. Sam sipped on his whiskey, his hand on Olivia's. The gaming floor was full of multiple species from all across the rim. Even though the games were still ongoing, everyone still kept eyes and sensory organs focused on the holoscreen. Sam smiled as he watched. 17 contenders had signed up for the inaugural race. The display zoomed in across the slipcrafts lined up at the starting berth. They were each fit, side by side, waiting for the starting lights. Sam touched the holometer on their table, focusing it on their favorite, Crunch Cheek. He leaned over to Olivia. This isn't stressing you out, is it? She lifted her water glass. No, baby's kicking a little bit, but I'm fine. Kind of exciting, isn't it? He said, smiling. She moved her hair out of her face and looked at the hologram on the table. It was a streamlined ship, oval in the front with a long, narrowing tail. 4 grav plates were mounted on posts, keeping the craft from touching any surface. It's badass. She squeezed his hand. Makes me miss flying again. He squeezed back. She looked over at him. You think it's wise to be having races when we could be attacked? Everyone that needs to be is on high alert. Everyone else, I'm giving them their bread in circuses. She shook her head slightly. And you're probably making a bit of income off this too, huh? He nodded, eyeing her. Of course. Profits all help fund the war effort. The lights changed abruptly and the race started. Olivia gasped. The slipcraft took off through the massive vacuum tube, accelerating at ridiculous speeds. Crunchcheek was hemmed in between 5 other craft hovering at his sides and above him. He pushed his power supply to the maximum and pulled out, twirling in a spiral and into a grove on the upper wall of the track. 3 others grav-locked onto the track next to him, and they balanced out, moving in unison as each maneuvered for potential lead. The 4 slipcraft maintained their edge and moved, blocking the rest from jumping past them. Sam laughed. Head of the pack! That's my man! He's neck and neck with those others. He's not in the lead yet, Olivia said. Well, he's not last. He better not be. He was the motivation behind building that tube. How much of that could have been used to fuel the war effort, huh? She asked. Sam glared at her for a brief moment. We started that before Garrigott's bullshit. This is a good thing. Enjoy it. It's a distraction. He took another sip. It's a needed one. She gave in and shared a smile with him. It is fun. Man, they are hauling ass. If they crash... Sam winked at her. The race tube is really thick and shielded. Also, it is routed as far as possible from any power cores. Should be safe for everyone outside of it. And everyone inside? They all backed up? Sam nodded. Yeah. She pointed at a green and black craft edging in behind Crunchcheek. That's one of Greenfeet's clan, isn't it? Interesting craft design. Sam nodded. You know, this is being broadcast throughout the rift. Creatures on the other side of the universe could be watching this race. He pointed with his glass. We could be making these 17 pilots famous on worlds we will never even know. And famous in the Hue worlds? Hope so. She stirred her ice with her straw. What about Patricia and the other survivors? They're getting settled in. Sam, still looking at the race, looked away briefly at her. Yeah. I offered them several places to settle. He looked back as Crunchcheek maneuvered into the lead. Hell yeah. Get it, little man. He looked back at Olivia. Oh yeah, the Carpathians. They split along tribe lines. Some stayed on Kawaru Prime, some went to Sparrow, another group to Vitalia. Some families just took off on freighters. Patricia is coming here, though, with her clan. Should be arriving within the next 3 cycles. Olivia thought for a moment while he watched the race. You know, she's a natural politician. Her views are sympathetic to yours. His smile dimmed as he turned back to her. Yeah? It's kinda dumb you being president. You're never down in the Senate. You don't like talking to people. You told me 100 times how everyone wants your time, and you never get to just wander anymore. Sam nodded, leaning back in the booth. I miss fixing stuff and farming. I'd like to get back to that. You don't have to be the one in charge out here. We're well off. We can go anywhere. Sam let out a loud breath of air, relaxing a bit at the thought. No. This is my home, more than anywhere I've ever been. He pointed at the race. I built that. Me. My designs and thoughts went into that. He waved at the walls of the casino. This place, all of it, it's here because of me. All these people, they're here, even you, because of me. She sat her glass down and took his hand in both of hers. Yes, and you can leave if you ever want to. He stared at her. And I don't want to. She shrugged and leaned back. That's fine too. It is the heart of your new empire, I guess. I'm not an emperor or anything like that. I just like... He waved his glass around. I like all of this. It's a reason to get up, you know. She touched her stomach. You've got other reasons coming soon, Sam. He smiled. Our baby is going to get all my love. Don't worry. All of this will be that kid's one day. She glared at him. Yup, a lineage of emperor kings. Yay, and I'm the first mother. He laughed. Robber barons at best. I ain't conquering shit.